There's one belief that can completely change how you act around people. Not just make you a little more confident, but actually remove that constant pressure you feel in social situations. And you can see both sides of this belief in someone like IShowSpeed. Sometimes it makes him fearless and expressive around anyone, and sometimes it goes a bit too far. But if you look past that, there's something powerful underneath it. That belief is simple. The idea that no matter where you go, you belong there. Not because you earned it, but because you assume it. And when someone truly feels like they belong, their behavior changes automatically. They don't overthink what to say or how they're being judged. They just act naturally. And that natural behavior is what people call confidence. The problem is, most people don't have this mindset. Their confidence is conditional. It depends on who they're around. The moment they enter a room with people they admire or feel intimidated by, they change. They become more careful, more quiet, and more controlled. Not because they lack personality, but because deep down, they feel like they haven't earned their place there yet. And this creates a loop. The more you try to act right, the less natural you become. The less natural you become, the more you feel like you don't belong, so you try even harder, and it just gets worse. That's why confidence never comes from performing perfectly. It comes from removing the need to perform. So the real shift is this. Instead of waiting to feel like you belong, you start acting like you already do. Not in an arrogant way, but in a quiet, internal way. You stop treating the situation like a test. You treat it like a place you're already a part of. A simple way to do this is to ask yourself one question. What if this person was already my friend? That one thought changes your behavior instantly. Because with friends, you don't overthink. You don't try to impress. You're more relaxed, more open, and more real. For example, if you met someone like Noah Lyles, you might feel pressure to act a certain way. But if you imagine he's already your friend, your tone changes. Your body language becomes natural. And that makes the interaction smoother without you forcing anything. But this doesn't mean trying too hard to look confident. That's where people mess up. When you force it, it feels fake. Real belonging is quiet, it's relaxed. It doesn't try to prove anything. And the moment you start trying to impress, you lose that natural energy. Most people struggle socially not because they lack skills, but because they feel like they need to earn acceptance. That pressure shows up in everything. Their words, their tone, even their jokes. And instead of connecting, they end up performing. So if you ever feel awkward in a situation, don't try to fix your words. Fix your mindset. Remind yourself that you don't need to prove anything in that moment. That shift alone changes how you show up. Because the truth is, you already have a version of yourself that people would like. You've seen it when you're around close friends, relaxed, expressive, natural. The only difference is, in certain situations, you hold that version back. So the goal is not to become someone new. It's to stop blocking who you already are. And that starts by assuming that you belong instead of waiting for proof. So try this today. Talk to one person with just a little more openness than usual. No overthinking, no pressure, just normal. And notice how differently it feels. Because the more you act like you belong, the more natural everything becomes. And over time, you realize something important. Confidence was never something you had to build. You just had to stop acting like you didn't belong